Hey guys, welcome to Walsh Weekly. So this week we're going to be talking about sort of scoliosis and my experience with scoliosis and how I think that you can improve your life if you have scoliosis and sort of my story. And later on, I think this is going to be quite a long podcast because I don't know how long it's going to be now, but later on I'm going to take you through some of the experiences of two other people and sort of their experiences with scoliosis and sort of how they've dealt with it. One is quite a severe case where they're going to have treatment in America, and the other one is not as severe, but it gives you sort of a wide display of the different experiences of people with scoliosis. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this episode.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.
Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than
Everybody
you.
has time. Stop watching Lost.
I love what I do, and that's why I'm doing what I love.
So first of all, I'd like to say, where was the podcast last week? So basically, last week I was just finishing exams. Didn't really have time to make a podcast, but now finished exams, finished uni. It's time to grind on the podcast for the next 2 or 3 months, that's the break from uni, which is going to be pretty sick. Going to try to do as much as possible in the next 2 or 3 months. Basically, my game plan is save up some money so I don't go bankrupt, learn even more about stocks, try and take my weightlifting and my sort of fitness to the next level, and I sort of upgrade and revamp a few areas of my life, which is going to be quite fun. But yeah, so basically, with scoliosis, my story. Basically, back in 2011, I was just a normal kid. I am now 19. I would have been, some quick maths, smoke trees. I would have been something like 10 or 11 years old. And one day I was just walking around the house with no shirt on because, I was a teenage boy. Well, I still am a teenage boy. And then my mum was like, hey, what's that? What's wrong? And then basically she sort of looked at my back and noticed that there was sort of a bit of an unevenness. And she was like, oh my God, I think you got a bit of a scoliosis. So then we went into the hospital, got it checked out. And then they were like, yep, got quite a huge scoliosis actually. It ended up being the first time we checked it, it was something like 40 degrees. And then I think they were like, okay, we're just going to monitor you. We'll just watch and see what happens. And then we went in for the next visit a few months later, and they were like, okay, yep, we're going to schedule you in for surgery because that's the best option. And that was the best option at that point. And there aren't too many options that people can do a lot of the time, because a lot of the time they have two options. They have either their scoliosis is very minor, it's something like 10 or 20 or even 30 degrees, and they can just use bracing. But once it gets over 40 degrees or 50 degrees, all that kind of stuff, then it really needs to just sort of be revamped. And it really needs to just sort of be taken in a more forward way. It's not something that you can just brush off and sort of look after. It's something you have to really take action for. So basically I was scheduled for surgery on the 14th of January in 2012, and I got the surgery. Basically, I'll just go over and explain a bit of what scoliosis is if you're someone that doesn't have scoliosis. So basically what I was diagnosed with was scoliosis, adolescent idiopathic scoliosis. It's quite unknown why it happens, but it is a lot more common in girls. There's a 10-to-1 ratio of female to males with scoliosis, which is strange, I think. But I think I was talking to my lecturer about it, and I think it's something to do with some other disease I can't remember right now, and something to do with bone density, I think, but I'm not really too sure. But basically, for myself, I found basically the surgery that I had something like, if you know your spinal anatomy, there is your lumbar spine, there is your thoracic spine, and there is your sacral spine, and then there's your, I don't know the other spine's called. Oops, I just did anatomy and physiology. At least I passed my exam, I hope. So basically I was fused from nearly the top of the thoracic spine all the way down to the second to last one of the lumbar spine. So I was fused from T3 to L2, which I'd say is about 70% of my spine. And then so the way they fuse it is it's just a bunch of screws screwed into different places on your vertebrae and 2 different rods. So now I have sort of no movement from there. So basically going forward, there was 1 year of recovery where I had to, this is probably one of the hardest times for it, that it really hit me, or the times that it really got to me. Sorry, this is a bit of a sad podcast, but yeah. So one of the times that it really got to me was when I had to sit through a PE school in year 9, and everyone else got to PE, who's basically physical education. If you don't know what that is, and that's basically, running around in class as a year 9. Year 9 is like 12 years old, 13 years old, that kind of age. So I missed the first 3 weeks of school because I was in recovery from my operation. And then I went into the school year and I wasn't allowed to do any sort of exercise. Basically nothing. Walking was fine, but that's like the bare minimum. That was pretty much it for the first year. And then after that year, I started doing things like running. I started doing mainly just running. I did a few other sports, like sports with my friends, all that kind of stuff. And then for the next few years, I just sort of let it go. I didn't really get bullied too much. There was a few times when people would like make fun of it, but it never really like got to me. But I think that's quite an issue with people that have braces. When I say braces, I don't mean teeth braces. I mean spine sort of braces, not like the spinal fusion that I have. It's sort of like a big mold that goes around your spine to stop the progression of the curve. Also, scoliosis is basically just a curvature of the spine, if I haven't already said that. So yeah, basically I think that's quite an issue. And for those people who do have that, we have someone coming up later who does have a brace, but they have quite a unique brace, which is quite cool. But yeah, because there are a lot of treatments coming out and there is a lot of research being done towards this, because it is relatively common and it can really affect some people's lives, especially as a young teenager, which is, I think it's 85% of scoliosis cases occur in the teenage years, from something like 12 to 15 or something. That's when it's mainly noticed. It's like a huge amount that occurs in a very young teenage age. But yeah, so basically I just cruised through school, didn't really bother me too much. It was just sort of a thing that was there. And then near the end of year 13, I sort of started to realize I was always a very skinny kid. I was not a big kid. And I was always the kid who people would ask like, oh, wow, do you not eat enough? All that kind of stuff. Most of the time it didn't get to me. It was sort of just like, yes, haha, I eat enough. And it never really bothered me until about year 12, year 13. So this is about a year or 2 years ago now. And then I was like, okay, what can I do about this? Because I was listening to Brian Tracy. I was getting really into this kind of stuff. And then basically I joined a gym. I joined like this sort of 24-hour chain gym. I don't recommend these kind of gyms, but I think they're a good place to start. They're very like friendly and they're just easy, super convenient. But mine, I had to walk like an hour each way to get there, and then it was quite ridiculous. I would spend an hour walking to the gym, then I'd go to the gym, and then I'd do my gym stuff, and then I'd drink my protein shake, which I would bring every day. I'd bring a protein shake just to get that bulk on, And then that really, I started off, before I started weightlifting, I weighed about 53 kgs, and then after that, now I weigh something like 64, and I'm pretty much staying at 64 right now. I'm not too focused on gaining much more weight, just because you get to a point where it's just size and it's not functionality and it's not anything like that. But yeah, and I'm still relatively lean. I'm still just, yeah. But right now my focuses are more sort of focusing on becoming more functional and just sort of fixing my wrist injuries, because that's another issue I've got to fix. When I think my wrist injuries come from always being skinny and always, being just quite a fragile human being, and then all of a sudden going into heavy weightlifting, going into all that kind of stuff. And I feel like that really, spiced it up a lot. But so yeah, back in year 13, I really started to put on weight, and I really like good weight, started to put on muscles, people started respecting me more just because of the weight. And that really helped me deal with it a lot, because I went from being this skinny kid to, a normal sized dude, even musclier than most dudes, which was quite nice. And then I'd like to go over a few things that I think really helped my scoliosis personally. One of the main things that is a major issue is you get a lot of back pain. And a few of the ways that I like to sort of go over and like decrease my back pain is, if you do your research into back pain, you can see that a lot of people's back pain is caused from sitting. And that's because this sort of position leaves you with your hip flexors tight. So they're always sort of contracted or shortened. And that just periodically shortens them over time, especially if you're sitting for something like, 8 hours a day, 4 hours a day, whatever it is. If you're sitting for hours and hours a day, then it really starts to just take an impact. And then the shortening of your hip flexors produces a weakening of the glutes, which then produces anterior pelvic tilt, which is where a lot of the pain comes from. So what I like to do is I like to use a standing desk periodically. So if you're watching the video and you're not on if you're not on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or you're watching the podcast, you can see my standing desk behind me right there. Yep. So basically what I've done is I've just got sort of my little container thing, and I've put another container on top of it. So I've just made a makeshift standing desk. I made the floor a little higher by putting some like rubbery floor pads on them. I don't even know what you call them, but yeah, you can literally use anything. You don't need to go buy an expensive standing desk. You don't no excuses. You can, if you're getting back pain, don't be a pussy and just go and lie down, because I don't think you can get much work done lying down unless you're like working on your phone. But I find the standing desk really helps. It's hard to concentrate at the standing desk at first, but one thing that I found helped me was if you use wired headphones, because I'm using like Bluetooth headphones, but if you use the wired headphones, then I really sort of noticed that there's not really an issue with running away and checking your phone, because throw a pen. Well, there's not really an issue with sort of walking away because you're wired in. But yeah, so I feel like that does really help. The standing desk does help me personally a lot with the back pain, and also if you learn how to stretch your hip flexors, which really helps a lot. And I actually do a bit of glute strengthening at the gym, which is quite helpful, just because they don't always get activated, and this, especially by dudes, they're quite a neglected muscle group, and legs in general. There was a long time where I didn't focus on legs at all, just because I was like, oh, who cares? I just want to get big, You just wanted a big chest, big back. But like training muscles for the thing about getting a strong back to help your scoliosis is you don't want to work on things like getting big lats and getting a big thick back and a big chest and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's cool, but it's not too functional. Like, say things like traps. You do want to get big traps, but you want to get them through things like deadlifts. I think deadlifts are actually quite good for scoliosis. Maybe that's controversial. I used to do sumo deadlifts because I thought they would sort of produce less torque on your back, and I thought it really helped. But now I've sort of moved more into thinking that, just from experience, I think personally that deadlifts are not actually that good. Sumo deadlifts are not actually that good. I think deadlifts are really good, but you're not going for sets of 3s. You're going for sets of like 6 or 8 or something like that, and you're not pushing too hard, and use a weightlifting belt. I find that really helps me engage my core and keep everything strong. And when you are working your core, you do want to be working not just your abs, but you want to be working your real core, and a lot of the way that you can do that is by using a weightlifting belt, and I find that it really helps me. So yeah, that sort of leads on to one of my other tips for sort of back pain and managing scoliosis is you have to find people who, you have to sort of take control of your fitness, because if you mope around being sad and being, oh, I'm a weak, fragile person with scoliosis and I can't do anything, what you have to realize is you just need to not be a pussy, and you just need to go out there. If you're scared of the gym and you're scared of looking ugly in the gym, wear a fucking hoodie, like wear a long sleeve shirt, whatever, like just do what you have to do to get in the gym. Even if you need to start at home, just start doing normal exercise for normal people, and then as you go on, you'll learn more and more about sort of biomechanics and nutrition. Nutrition is quite important. One thing that I think is incredibly important is, this doesn't seem like it would relate, but don't smoke. The reason you don't want to smoke is because my surgeon explained this to me. He explained that basically you want to stay away from smoking because if you know anything about the blood-brain barrier, it's really hard for anything to get through there. And the way for nutrients and blood to get to your spine is through the blood-brain barrier. And when you smoke, your blood vessels, I think they dilate when you smoke, and that makes it harder I think they dilate or vasoconstrict or something like that. And that basically smoking makes it harder for nutrients and sort of things that help repair your spine get to there. So basically the thing that happens every day is your spine goes through consistent micro trauma just from walking around, all that kind of stuff, just the constant, walking up and down and just all that kind of stuff, all the little, I forgot what they're called. I learned this early this semester, but completely forgot. But the little squishy things in between each vertebrae, basically those get injured every single day, and you need to repair those, and you can't repair those if you are constantly smoking. It's because it just completely stops blood flow, and it really just, it's a negative cycle. So yeah, plus it'll give you cancer. So yeah, and also another thing is you have to figure out how to stop giving a shit what anyone else thinks, because the moment you get into the gym and then you start leaning in a certain way to make your scoliosis look less prominent, and you start hiding yourself and you start hiding yourself away, you wear hoodies, you aren't proud of your body, you don't want to go swimming, it just limits you. And the only reason that it's limiting you is it's not limiting you because people are judging, because the majority of people couldn't give half a shit. They don't care, they don't know your name, they don't give a shit. If your friends judge you and laugh at you for it, fuck them, get new friends. Honestly, like, you think it's scary to get new friends, but you can get new friends. I do understand it's hard in high school, and it's like sometimes feels impossible to get new friends, but if you don't know how to get any new friends and you don't think you can get new friends, fine, then don't get new friends, just do something else. But don't hang out with those cunts, like, just don't. Not worth your time. So yeah, basically the way that I found that I could love myself more and sort of appreciate my body even with scoliosis is I sort of saw it as a project. Now especially I really see it as a project because it's a challenge. With most people, their fitness is so, oh, I have to lose weight, I want to gain muscle. Like, yeah, cool, but I want to live and be functional by the time I'm 40. That's the thing with scoliosis and especially spinal fusions is you don't know how it's going to progress over the next 60, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5 years. I'm 6 years post-surgery and I feel pretty damn good. The only, like, there's days where I feel absolutely no back pain, which is pretty crazy to me. Considering this is probably, like, going to be seen as a barbaric treatment in, like, 10 years, but maybe not even 10 years, but, like, the amount of research that's being done, the amount of change that's happening, because I think a spinal fusion isn't the best, it isn't, I personally don't think it's the best method, but I'm not educated, I don't have a degree, it's just from what I've seen. I think there's just probably going to be better ways out there. We're just not technologically there yet, and we just don't have the knowledge yet to actually do better treatments for it. Like, maybe there's something that we can do with gene editing to stop it at birth, or maybe there is something that we can do with bracing where the brace tightens a little bit and then it tightens a little bit, like braces, like real teeth braces, that kind of thing. Or maybe there's some other sort of way. But yeah, it's a scary thing, because if I lived 100 years ago, I'd be dead. Like, they wouldn't let me live. It's like, oh, he's a fucking rodent. Like, what are we gonna do? It's like, I'd be an experiment, or I'd be, like, dead. I don't know. Like, you just gotta be grateful. It's like, you can complain about having scoliosis, or you can be lucky that you can walk. It's like, just, yeah, you just gotta be grateful at these points, because especially if you mope around and you're not doing anything about it, I'm directing this especially if you have scoliosis and you don't exercise and you don't take control of your fitness. There's a ton of people with scoliosis, and I think this is quite crazy. There's a ton of people with scoliosis on places like Instagram, Facebook, on YouTube. A lot of them are girls. The majority of them are girls, because the boys don't really show it, and that's why I'm trying to show it, because show them exercising, I mean. So yeah, I think you really have to actually take control of your fitness, which in turn helps you love yourself more and helps you appreciate your body, because if you're not appreciating it, then it's going to depreciate, and then it's going to lose value, and it's going to lose strength, and it's going to lose integrity. And I just don't think it's that safe or that good, and I think it's just plain unreliable. So yeah, and also I think you should find, speaking of people on Instagram and people on YouTube that have scoliosis, or just other people that inspire you, you have to find people with scoliosis or with other conditions that really inspire you. Let me think of some good names. So some of the people that I'm having on today, you should follow them on Instagram. I'll leave their Instagrams in the show notes. They're great people, but they're not like scoliosis personalities. Maybe you could just chat to them about it. But someone that I think they've got a really scary condition, but they take it in their stride, and they don't, like, they fucking roll with it. They don't just fuck around. Is Mo Samuels. He's a great person. He's been on this podcast. With scoliosis, the thing is, there's not that many that are that big. There's a few that have like a minor scoliosis, but you've got to be wary. Like, when you see the word scoliosis, it's this big word, but it's divided into 18 different subcategories of someone who has a 10-degree curve, who it's it's just a thing that they have. It's like, I have a cold. Maybe it's not that small, but it's not going to affect them that much. But what about for someone who has a 50-degree curve and they can't get surgery, or someone who has a 40-degree curve and they're they're teetering on getting surgery, not getting surgery? So yeah, there's a whole diverse group of people with scoliosis, because you can't apply a lot of things that I say to someone who has a 10-degree scoliosis. You can't apply it to someone who has a 50-degree scoliosis and they're not getting surgery. Like, there's a whole range of people who have done their research with scoliosis and have sort of looked into this. And the thing with surgery is, you have to realize once you've done it, you can't go back. And that's the thing that I want to know is, in 50 years, if I have enough money, is the surgery going to be reversible? Is that a thing that's going to be able to happen? Is that possible? Like, that's the kind of things that I want to know. So yeah, I'm probably going to go on to the interviews now. So thank you guys very much for listening, and I'm going to let you listen to the first interview now. Hey guys, welcome to Walsham Weekly. This week I'm here with Renee McRae. Renee, how did you figure out that you had scoliosis, and then how did it affect your sport, and how did this whole thing happen? What is the story of you, rhythmic gymnastics and scoliosis?
Well, when I was younger, I was training and my coach was looking at my back, and she realised I wasn't straight and that she could see my spine curve. Yep. So then I went and got an x-ray, and I was told I had a 15-degree curve and that not to worry about it, all kids have it. And so I'm like, okay. I carried on doing gymnastics for the next 2 years. We didn't won titles, and then I came back 2 years later, and I went in and they're like, you have a 40-degree curve, you need to go see a specialist. And so I started freaking out, and I wanted to see if there was a different way to avoid surgery. So we went and like Googled everything. We found a place in America that would help me there. Yeah. I sent all my x-rays over, and they're like, actually, it's not 40 degrees. It's a 59 and 51 degree curve. Whoa. And so they're like, oh, you need to come over here now. So we're like, okay. So within 10 days, we're over there, and they got me a brace and traction chair, and they're helping me. And it's been, 9 months now, and my spine has decreased 9 degrees.
So it's like a very slow thing, but do you think, has this whole treatment has it stopped you being able to do rhythmic gymnastics, or?
Well, yes, but yeah, it kind of, because since I have to wear back brace now, it's stopped me having the movement I needed to compete and do well in. Yeah. I can still do like the minimal stuff, but I'm more I coach now. I'm coaching like younger girls and helping them with competing. Yeah. So I definitely found for me, like, because I had a spinal fusion in 2012, I think. And, oh, wow. Yeah, it's definitely a long time ago. And I don't know if I actually do agree with it as a surgery, but it's like, definitely for some people, I think it's necessary. Do you think that a spinal fusion is sort of, would you still want to do that, or would it just sort of be like, I'd rather go for the slowly just get rid of it over time, or? Yeah, I'd try to avoid surgery at all costs. Because I really want to get back into my gym once I'm done with this treatment. Yeah. And like go on competing. But no, I think I would prefer to do my treatment I'm doing at the moment. Yeah. How have you found having the brace on? Because I haven't actually, even with doing this whole thing that I'm doing, I've never actually, I don't think I've even met another person in real life with scoliosis. So how does having the back brace actually affect your daily life and having to wear that? Honestly, now that I'm used to it, because it has pushes everywhere. Yeah. It doesn't hurt me at all now. It just, yeah. It doesn't really affect my day-to-day life. I still go to school, I still coach, I still work. I don't even get pain anymore, which is good. Yeah, so it's because I don't really, because I never had a brace, I just went straight to surgery. Is the idea sort of brace it, like teeth braces? They sort of just decrease the angle more and more? Is it kind of that? Yeah, well, this brace is, this is my clinic that I go to. They've specialized and changed the brace.
Yeah.
And so it's moved my curves from now 47 and 51 down to 25 and 15 degrees, I think.
Yeah. So you've got a ton of reduction.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, like, can you notice a lot of that just physically and actually feeling it?
Well, I noticed physically because I've grown like over 2 inches.
Yeah.
But like I can't, I don't know how to put it. Like I can't feel it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, you can't really, because I guess it's very gradual. It's like, can't really feel the difference. Like for me, mine was like one day I'm how I was, and now the next day, completely straight, completely like, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think in the future, are you going to go back into rhythmic gymnastics at a sort of professional and top level?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to. Like 3 weeks before I went, 4 weeks before I went over to America, I just won a national New Zealand title.
Yeah.
And then a couple months before that, I was winning. I was second in like an Australasia competition.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely want to get back into it.
Yeah. Do you find that it limits you at all, or do you think it's sort of like a factor but not a huge factor?
Yeah, I feel like it's like it's like an obstacle, but like you can always get over it. Like it's not going to stop you.
Yeah. What would you like? Do you have any advice for other people going through bracing or going through this sort of thing? Like, would you recommend the treatment you're getting, or? Yeah,
I'd 100% recommend it. They've like the clinics have really good results, and they're really friendly, and they're like helpful, and it's like the treatment you're doing, it's like proven that it works, and so I'd 100% recommend it.
And what would you say to like other people going through this treatment, if they can't, like, if they have to go through and sort of just get a back brace, or they can't get surgery, or just sort of live with scoliosis? What would you say to them?
I don't know. I'd just say like, I just guess you got to go get. What's the words? You just got to push past it, and I guess you're gonna have back pain, but you like carry on with your life. You're not gonna let your back stop you, and keep doing what you love, I guess.
Yeah. Do you find that sort of, because I know definitely for myself, like back before I like gymmed it all day and like sort of took control of like my body physically, like now, do you find that you still, or that you get, I guess the word is like, do you find it affects your mental image of yourself? Because definitely for myself, even now I still feel very, I guess, wonky, and like that definitely still affects me. Do you find that affects you much?
Yeah, I guess so. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I think only now I've realized like how it affects me. I guess I don't know. It has like it's had a huge impact on me, but I don't know. I feel like since quite a lot of people know about it, I'm not. I can't think of the words. Yeah, like I'm not on my own, and I'm not. People know I have it, and people know that I'm wonky, so I don't really take too much notice of what people, or like what is seen of me, I guess.
Yeah. Do you find like at school, do you find that people, I don't want to say bullying, but like, do you find there's a stigma around it at all?
No, I don't think anyone cares about it. They're like, because I'll tell people and they're like, oh, I didn't even notice, and then we'll carry on talking like normal. Yeah, like I definitely found like when I told people, they're like, what is that? What? They like had no clue. Yeah. They like definitely just think it's this like very, very minor thing, and even now it's like it really is quite minor sometimes. Like when it comes to like your training, would you say it hinders your training a lot? If you were going to go full on into it, would you sort of have to dial back your intensity a bit? Yeah, I think so. Like when I was, like I said before, I was training with like 59 and 51 degree curves, and it didn't affect me at all. I just had some back pain at points, but like I think now I'll realize what damage I can do to my back from some things, so I'll try avoid doing those things and like go at it 100% just avoiding it. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely know that like for myself, I have to
like if I'm doing certain things in the gym, I have to be very careful if I'm doing things like squats and deadlifts. I just have to take it way lighter. For like rhythmic gymnastics, what sort of training do rhythmic gymnasts do? Because I'm obviously not very familiar with that, because I'm not a rhythmic gymnast. But like, what sort of training do you guys do?
Well, like for me, I do 4 hours of training, and it'd be like first hour would be like warming up, conditioning, like strengthening, stretching, and then we'd do like leaps and throws, and then for like the rest, just do hard out routines. Yeah. Which involves like using your back and using all muscles and strength. Yeah. Like that sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah. So would like the bit where you sort of have to dial it down be the routines?
I'm not really sure. I haven't really thought about it, but I'd more say it's more like stretching, because I used to avoid doing back stretches because my back would be in pain and I realised that something wrong. I think it's more actually like leaps, like landing, how I land, and pivots, trying to avoid using my back as much as I could. Yeah. Really? Yeah.
Do you think it did like affect your performance at times, like when you have to sort of be conservative with how much sort of I guess effort you put on certain things?
I'm not sure. Like I used to find it affected my training. Like I'd come off and I'd have sore backs, so I'd like try just like stretch it, and like I'd try roll on like a foam roller thing to see if anything could help, but really it didn't, and I was just not sure why.
Did you find there was any things that would sort of, I guess, help the pain or like sort of manage the scoliosis?
I used to go to an osteopath quite a lot to try help me with back pain. Yeah. But other than that, nothing really helped. Yeah. But yeah.
Did the osteo work very well? Because I know I was talking to some guy at a business conference. He was saying that he said his wife had like a very severe scoliosis, and she found osteo worked really well, but you need to give it time, and that chiropractor was like just a complete pit of money or something like that.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. I preferred to go to the osteopath because he worked at like my muscles and like focused on my back, not so much cracking it, but just working it so I wasn't in pain all the time. Like I'd leave there and my back would feel so much better, and I could like live. It like didn't hurt me for the next couple of days, like for next weeks. Yeah. And then when I got a sore back, I went back, but like I never went to the chiropractor. I found it was too, I don't know, intense for me, I think. Yeah. That's like yeah. Yeah, I definitely found for myself. I didn't go to either because there was such a short time frame for me between actually finding out and surgery, so we just sort of just went full in. But yeah. Did you ever go on. Did you ever consider like trying to find something else at that point, or were you just
well, like I was probably like 12 years old. I was sort of just like left it up to my mum, and she just sort of asked the surgeon, asked for their advice, and went with surgery. And if I could go back and change it, I might, but like I'm not sure, because I think mine was progressing really, really fast. Like they said by the time I was like 21, wouldn't be able to like breathe or like walk, but it's like I feel like maybe I don't know how like long the technology that you guys are using has been around. So it's like I reckon I could have used something like that, and that's something that maybe I like. That's something that definitely scares me a lot, because I don't know how the upper portion of my spine, because my surgeon, like, he did an amazing job, but what I'm scared about is my lumbar spine, like the very bottom of my spine. I think that is something that I do have to be very, very cautious of. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Do you find...
Oh, sorry.
Do I go on?
No, it's all right.
Do you find, like, is there any particular region of your spine that you sort of have to be careful of?
No, not really. I find, because this brace like really supports my back, so I'm out of pain. Yeah. And I find that it takes care of all my spine, so I'm like free to like carry on, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because
I know I've seen like just on like scoliosis pages on like Facebook, I've seen that most braces are quite invasive, and they like really do they have, I don't know, because like I've never had a brace or sort of met anyone that has a brace, so I'm not too clued up about actual braces. Like, also one thing that I want to think about starting up is like an Auckland scoliosis meetup or something, because I've been doing this thing for like 6 months, haven't met anyone in Auckland with scoliosis. So, like, I want to make like Scoliosis Con or something, but it's like, I don't know how many people there actually is. Have you met anyone else with scoliosis?
Yeah, there's 3 other girls around Hamilton area that I go over to America with.
Oh yeah.
And I know they have it. And I've also, and I've met like 3 other people where I live that have it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, since hearing about it, I've heard it so commonly used, like so commonly talked about, like around, like especially around where I live. But like, I don't know. I've heard, I don't know. Just more, I don't know how to put it, I guess.
Is the treatment
but I
called
hadn't...
Scully Smart? Because I think I've heard of that one, and I've heard of a few
No.
others. Do you know what it's called?
The clinic where I go to is Jansen and Jasens.
Hmm.
I don't know if they have a Instagram, Scoliosis Academy, I think.
Oh yeah, I actually follow that. I think.
Yeah.
I think I do. Yeah. Because I've seen a few of them online. Like I've seen the ones that are like the ones that I really don't like. Even with those ones, I didn't do much research into it, so I was not too like clued up. And this is like this year when I'm just doing like research for fun about it. Like when looking into the ones that were like, oh yeah, we do yoga that fixes your scoliosis. Do you know? Have you found any examples of that working?
Like doing yoga for it, or I've never heard I've never heard about it before. I've only heard about places that do bracing and stuff. Yeah. That's all I've ever heard.
Yeah. Because I know, like, I don't know, there's just been some random people on like the scoliosis Facebook groups and on Instagram, and they talk about how yoga or certain like they don't even involve bracing at all. They say that yoga and something else can completely fix it, or just basically fixing muscular imbalances, which is quite, and I like it kind of annoys me because I feel like it gives some people false hope about just doing yoga, or like they can just do something at home to fix it, or like just do something in their living room and then that fixes like a 40-degree curve. It's pretty like, I don't know, unrealistic.
Yeah, actually, I have been told about that. I did actually try that.
Yeah.
Like something like similar. Like I was told to, like if I lie on the ground with like a rolled up towel under where like my spine goes, like under my side. Yeah. I slide like that for like 21 minutes. That it would help it if I did that every day. That would help it and it would fix it. And there's YouTube videos and like a doctor guy told me that, so I was doing that. Yeah. But then it didn't help whatsoever.
Yeah. Did it like help with the pain or anything, or just absolutely seemed like a straight up placebo effect, like nothing at all?
Yeah, well, because I'd been told that it would work, so I had the vision in my head that it's going to work. Yeah. But then I realised, thinking back now, it didn't do anything.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, it's kind of like, I feel like some of the people who are like promoting things like that, or like they sell like a how to fix scoliosis ebook. It's like, I feel like a lot of them are like just trying to get cash in, which is kind of like, it's kind of screwed up. So it's like, yeah. So like the main, do you have an opinion on like spinal fusion?
I don't know. I can't. I've heard people say that they do it for the money, like the doctors do it for the money, and that's what I've been told. But I don't really have an opinion on it. I guess if you want to go with it, go with it. But like if you can find an alternative, try it. I guess. Yeah,
I definitely agree. Like when it comes to like I reckon if you can find an alternative that does not involve fusing the majority of your spine together, one, reducing movement, and then two, like putting a bunch of pressure on your lower back. But I don't know, like I feel like for some people it's inevitable, but I feel like in like 10 years or 5 years it'll be pretty obsolete. Like the ones that were done in like the 1970s, they're like notorious for breaking and just completely giving people hell. It's like, I would never want to have a second surgery to fix it. that would be the worst bit.
Yeah, because I hear so many stories about people going and having more than one surgery.
Yeah.
I feel so bad.
Yeah.
So I know I can understand like pain and, well, I can't physically, but I can imagine how much pain there must be going through.
Yeah,
with
it's just like a complete hassle. Like it just, I don't know. It just like at that point, I do not think it would feel worth it to me. Like it would just feel like the first recovery process and the first actual surgery process was just a complete waste. Like, and like one thing that I would like that really sort of makes me quite sad is like in New Zealand we're quite lucky. Like I think the government paid 100% for my surgery. Like,
Yeah.
And I don't know if yours is like government funded or anything, but like I know in like there's people that talk to me that are from like Egypt and they don't have like funding. Like they don't even have a chance to like get the operation or get like bracing or get anything like that. It's like that's the thing that scares me quite a lot.
Yeah. I know like New Zealand's good with covering like the surgery, but I tried to apply for like funding through like some websites, but they never, or like for like insurance from it, and no one would like help me or anything.
Yeah.
So like my way to is like the way I'm going with it, no one's funding me like in any way.
So it's like completely on your own. It's quite scary because it's like I think the statistic is like 0.1% of the population has scoliosis or something, like, which is a decently big amount. It's like I don't know the actual, like, it from what I've read it ranges, like someone said like 0.3%, someone said 0.1, but it's like it's quite a large amount of the population, and for it not to be like I wouldn't say it's like outdated, but like it's just such a hard thing to fix.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely like, do you feel like you can be sort of alone with your problem at times?
Like what do you mean by that?
Like do you sometimes, like I definitely found for myself, I always, especially when I was like real young, when I was like 14, 13, even after the surgery, I always felt like very I felt weird a lot of the time because of it. Like I thought, oh my god, there's this super weird thing, because I didn't even think to go look online to talk to other people with scoliosis. I just sort of felt like, oh, there must be like no one else that has this, and I didn't really think to sort of put myself out there with it. Do you find that you sort of feel isolated at times with it?
No, I've actually made quite like at clinic, I made some friends that like go through the exact same thing with me. So I feel like, because like we're supporting each other, I feel like it makes it a whole like bunch easier. Yeah,
like you guys all have like you all have the similar issues, and you know how to, if one of you finds a fix to one of the issues, then you can sort of let each other know, sort of like a support group. Yeah,
that's pretty much us. Yeah.
What would your advice be to someone who has scoliosis or has something that limits them in a way? What would your advice be to them if they do have an athletic dream or something like that?
Keep at it, I guess. Like, scoliosis is going to hold you back in some way, but you just got to go around it. Try go for your goal, and if you and try to succeed in as many ways you possibly can, just avoiding your scoliosis. That's it. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, sweet as. Thank you so much. Hey guys, so I hope you thought that was a good interview. So I don't know how well, like, if people are enjoying this kind of content, but I do think it's sort of just a thing that I've wanted to do for a long time, to sort of show the perspectives of people with scoliosis, and show that, if you can hear fireworks in the background, sorry about that. I'm just recording late at night on the 5th of November. But yeah, I think it's just good, because if you do have scoliosis, or if you're just a normal person, this sort of shows you what it's like to live with scoliosis, like my perspective, and then we had Renee's perspective, and then now we're going to have Christopher's perspective. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that interview, and now on to the next one. Hey guys, welcome to Walsham Weekly. This week I am with Christopher Vidage. He is a scoliosis survivor, and I'm looking to get his story today. Christopher, what is your story with scoliosis?
Hey everyone, I was diagnosed around 12 years old. I I remember I had like some pains in my leg. I couldn't really walk that well, so I went to a chiropractor and they diagnosed me. And since then, they were keeping it in check, but it was slowly progressing as I got older. So then we started stroke treatments, which is basically it's a lot of breathing exercises, and you're focusing on your diaphragm and breathing into specific areas.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been improving a lot.
Yeah.
And I went to a new stroke place where they braced me, and I wear the brace now and then. So, yeah, I've been doing that, and the curve has went down significantly over the years. And now I just continue with the stroke treatments.
Yeah.
And on the side, I do other workouts as well.
Yeah.
Like do jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. So.
Yeah. How do you find, like, how does wearing the brace, like, what is the situation with wearing the brace? Is it like wearing it 23 hours a day, or is it like sort of just wear it when you're doing certain things, or?
I hate wearing the brace actually, because it's a flexible one. It's made out of like a cloth, and you have to like wear specific pants. There's no recommended time that you have to wear it. I don't think there's it's basically the longer that you wear it throughout the day, the better it is. Yeah. And over the summer, I kind of just stopped wearing it because it got so hot here that like I couldn't just bear it. I just stopped wearing it, and then I started getting back into it. But I'm wearing it less, like just more like an hour or two a day. Yeah. Because it's hard to focus with it on.
Oh yeah. Do you find, is it like sort of one of those like really sort of annoying things to put up with just while you're trying to concentrate on something else?
Yeah, I can't. The only time I feel like I can really wear it is when I'm like watching something. Yeah. And I mean, walking somewhere too, and that's it. Like, I haven't really worn it out of the house in over like a year.
Yeah. Is it just sort of like, does it restrict your movement a lot when you're in it? Or how does, like, would you be able to go to the gym and do stuff like that with it on?
No, I would not do anything with it on at the gym because since it straps, I strap it on. The straps would come off if I did anything strenuous. Like I could just see if I did like a bench press right now, it would just fly off. Yeah. And yeah, I keep it off for any physical activity, and that's what the doctor recommended.
Yeah. How do you find like having scoliosis has influenced you with physical activity? Like, were you very physically active before you realized you had scoliosis, or?
No, I was not physically active as a child. I didn't really like any sports. I didn't find anything interesting, and everyone was trying to tell me like I need to find some type of sport because doing some type of physical activity would help improve it. Yeah. That's what I was being told. I just didn't know what I liked or what I didn't. So then one day, I know I like some type of combat sports. Like I was into MMA, boxing, wrestling and stuff like that. So one day my mother, she got me this flyer for jiu-jitsu and kickboxing, and I've been doing it ever since then. Yeah. And even my newer doctors, the stroke treatment, they discourage me doing what's it called, jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. Yeah. I forgot the specifics of it, but it was something about the way that I twist isn't good for my back. But I feel like it's the complete opposite. Like jiu-jitsu and kickboxing has been helping my scoliosis. And my chiropractor agrees. He says that he's only been seeing improvements ever since I started kickboxing and jiu-jitsu.
Do you ever feel like it limits you in a way?
I was actually just thinking about it right now, like right before I started this call, because I found out one factor of my scoliosis is that I have like flat feet. Yeah. I believe. And the stroke people, they were telling me that, I have to buy better shoes with ankle support. And because my ankles are going inwards. Yeah. And I just bought like a new pair of shoes, and I thought like it had perfect ankle support, and I realized, oh no, it's my ankles are still going together, and it's like, like I have to find a new pair right now. Yeah. It's other than that, it just It's just that like it's more of a fashion thing, if anything.
Yeah. Like I find definitely. Well, I've never had to go through wearing a brace because everything I've heard about braces is people have to find clothes that work with the brace, and it's just sort of a very annoying thing to have to do. And then also for like kids in high school, I've heard that it's quite, I guess, not traumatic, but like annoying to wear it because people don't understand it.
Yes. Well, for my brace, since it's made out of a cloth, it's not, you can easily disguise it.
Yeah.
Like no one will really notice. However, in high school, I just graduated high school last year. I had, there was a point where I did try wearing it for the first couple of days, but I stopped because I had gym class that I had to change for that, and I didn't want anyone seeing the brace because I don't want like people, it's a bit of a self-conscious thing.
Yeah.
And two, it was annoying to use the bathroom with that thing because you had to take the whole thing off and then on. I was just like, I'm not wearing this throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I mean, if your general clothes will cover it, but the only issue with my scoliosis was just it's just with shoes basically.
Yeah. Do you ever find sort of the sort of mental and subconscious aspect of having scoliosis gets to you? Like, do you ever find that there's times where you feel negative because of the scoliosis?
Notice it too much. I feel sometimes like when I have like I can notice like sometimes I just notice it when I'm looking in the mirror like that my right shoulder is more raised. And it's no one really like notices it, but I'm like the only one who sees it.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a self-conscious thing. And it's just about that. One thing I do notice that like scoliosis did limit me one way is when I can't really do any type of squats or like overhead presses because it's actually I was told not to because it would actually damage my back.
Yeah.
Or hinder the growth from what I was told.
Yeah. So it's quite a scary thing, like doing things in the gym when you have scoliosis. Like even now because I'm fused from T3 to L2, so I'm relatively okay in the gym, but there's still some things where I'm just careful and cautious and quite like relatively scared just because I don't know what is going to work and what is safe. Do you find like it's hard to find, because one thing that I didn't know for a very long time is the ratio of females to males with scoliosis is actually 10-1. And I was talking to my lecturer about that, and she said it's because of something else, but I can't quite remember. But I think it might be, I have no clue actually. But so apparently there's a ratio of 10-1 with females to males. And for a long time, I didn't understand why there were so many groups for girls and like things for girl scoliosis, but I didn't understand why there was very little for boys.
I definitely feel that there is a lack of things targeted towards boys or men for scoliosis. Before Schroth, there was some type of yoga that that I also went to. It was dedicated towards people with scoliosis. Yeah. I generally didn't like it. I found it relatively boring, and it was mostly filled with women.
Yeah.
And I felt like the Schroth just did a better job.
Yeah.
I think it did an okay job, but I felt that, just doing jiu-jitsu and Schroth was fine.
Yeah.
And the occasional chiropractor.
Yeah.
I was actually one of the women that who trains jiu-jitsu with me. She actually knew the woman who taught that yoga class.
Yeah.
And she said the same exact thing, that it's not very open towards people. Like they don't play music. They kind of just do positions, and it's just not very user friendly.
Yeah.
That's how I want to describe it.
Like it's sort of just hard for people to like feel like it's a community or like it's like a safe place to sort of learn.
Yeah, it's like it wasn't people I could really connect to.
Yeah.
I felt like if there was more of even not even just the male dedicated, but like more of a younger people community, it would have been much more enjoyable.
Yeah, because I definitely know there's a few like young people communities for scoliosis, but I'm not actually sure where you're from exactly. But I know definitely in New Zealand there's like a Facebook group, and that's like the extent of sort of the online support that you can get. But I know I think it might be in England or in America, there's something called Curvy Girls, which is like the Scoliosis Association for Girls or something. Do you know if there's anything in your country
I
that
can
sort
look
of
for.
supports you?
Well, I'm in New York, so I have not really checked. I've just pretty much been keeping this to myself and just going onward.
Yeah. How do you find, like, do you have anything that's sort of helped when you have back pain and stuff like that?
I don't really have back pain. I actually never really experienced it.
Yeah.
The only time I experienced pain was when I first was diagnosed. I'm not sure if that was even directly related to my scoliosis, but I think it was might have been like really tight hamstrings to the point where I couldn't even walk on my own.
Yeah.
And then my chiropractor was able to fix that. So.
And were the hamstrings causing the back pain? Like
it wasn't back pain. It was more leg pain.
Yeah.
I don't think that. The only time I have back pain is I'm a front sleeper. So if I wake up, sometimes I'll just feel it slightly, but as I go through the day, it'll just go away.
Yeah.
So I just have to be careful to sleep on my side or on my back.
Yeah. Do you have any? What would you say? What would your advice be to someone who is in your situation? Like if you met someone at 12 years old that is basically you, but at 12, what would you say to them now?
I would just recommend them to find the physical activity that they join. Like they shouldn't have to feel like they're not allowed. They should just be allowed to do whatever they want, like whatever type of sport that they want, because any type of physical activity would help.
Yeah.
Even if it's and I would just tell them not to lift anything above their head if they're weightlifting, and that's generally about it.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be self-conscious about it either, because everyone has their own. I would rather have scoliosis than stage 4 cancer.
Yeah. I definitely find there's always like, whenever I get down on myself for having scoliosis and I feel bad, I always realize like how much worse it really could be. It's like there's people with like cerebral palsy, like and really insane spinal issues that could seriously like completely cripple our life, but I feel like we can still live relatively normally, and that's something where I'm just like, wow. So yeah, I do think that's incredibly important, and a incredibly important thing to keep in mind is the thing is, no matter, even if you have scoliosis, if you can't get surgery, that's when it's really hard. But if you have a scoliosis that can be fixed and there's just a few issues that you need to deal with and there's just a few roadblocks, it's not a huge thing, then I think one thing you need to focus on is being grateful, because again, you could literally have no leg, you could have no arms. There's a lot of people who live with no limbs. There's a lot of people who live with cancer. There's a lot of people who have had incredibly tragic things happen to them, or they live in a place like Gaza or in another war place, and there's just so many worse things that could happen. So yeah, but also I'd just like you to keep in mind that you're always in control, so it doesn't really matter what your situation is. Things are always going to affect you, and that's always going to suck. That might not always suck, but a lot of the time the things that affect you and your scoliosis are not going to be the best, they're not going to be fun, but the things that you control are what matter. So yeah, I hope you keep that in mind always. You control the situation, and you always control your response to the situation. So yeah, thank you guys very much for listening. I'd love if you would check me out on my Instagram, my Facebook. If you are new to this podcast and you never really heard this podcast before, my name is James. I'm some random kid from Auckland, New Zealand. I'm making a podcast just to sort of interview people and get their take on life and get their take on success and all those kinds of things. So yeah, I'm going to try and finish this in under an hour. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, and I hope you have a lovely weekend or week whenever you listen to this. But yeah, enjoy Guy Fawkes Day and have a good night. Hey guys, I would love if you would leave a review. That absolutely helps me out so much, and it shows me what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. If you love this podcast, let me know on my Instagram. If you hated this podcast, let me know. So yeah, thank you guys very much for listening.